So starting time of crisis. I think that there's one set of cards that's generally better as a starting set at the beginning of the game. I've completed the setup. Players have picked their starting provinces. They all start with the same thing. I went through and tried to pick legionary forces that fit. I didn't see a Hispania legion, which I think there should be. But, you know, I don't know. I will probably tire of trying to pay attention to which legionary names I'm using where. So here I've got like a Galicia, which should actually be in Spain. Oh, well, it looks like Dahlia, you know. But then for the cards, I made some interesting choices. So like, this is what I think is probably the best, is 3 blue, which gives me enough points to buy a governor and probably place him in a neutral space, as well as a couple of populous actions to improve the support that I have in the location I have. I think that's probably the strongest basis, but I'm hoping that the game doesn't require that you make the absolute best choice on the first play. Because this guy, for example, took some military actions to boost his strength. This will allow him to go marching off and maybe capture a neutral province as well. Now, the 3 blue is more or less the price of entry into a blue area, but maybe if he had taken 3 red instead of 3 blue, he would be able to march. You see, he'd be able to build a larger force, but here he could actually place the governor more easily by just capturing these. The neutrals don't have any forces, which makes them particularly easy pushovers. So we might actually be able to go take something. I don't know why I have 3 red. I think that's actually an error. Let me rethink that. Because the cost there, creating an army is going to cost me 2 red. So that gets me a bigger force. I'm sorry. Not creating an army, adding a legion to the army will cost me 2 red, and then a blue could have bought me a governor first that I can place into here. What do I do with the other blues? I'm not sure. Maybe buy another governor for next turn. You know, this guy has taken a bunch of reds and yellows. That puts him in a position where he's not really capable of even getting a governorship. So I don't know how valuable that is. But he's sitting close to him. That doesn't look like a good idea, to tell you the truth, but whatever. And you know, I don't think that's a good choice. I think, let's see, 2 yellows I need for the support level. 2 reds gets me not a legion. See, this would give me a legion in movement. I think I'm going to take a blue instead, because that'll let me buy the next governor at least. And then this guy over here has the 3 blue, 2 yellow, which I think again is a pretty good combination. There might be different ways that one can go about this. I would, of course, tend towards the more peaceful solution. Expand early in the game rather than go for an attack right away. Now, that kind of thinking made it so that games like Stellar Conquest, I miss a complete strategy. So I do try to play around more, having learned that from opposed play in Stellar Conquest. Not just opposed play, but opposed play with people who had seen the game and had read about it and learned about it before playing it. You know, had the idea of, yeah, I'm just going to send out a force and try to knock somebody out right away. Knowing that kind of thinking is leading me to try exploring other things first. But here's the problem. Trying to explore stuff without really thinking about it too hard generally doesn't work too well. So I'm not expecting anything good to come of things that aren't, you know, sort of in my wheelhouse of thinking, which is always a problem. But I feel like this is a game that's going to be in that kind of position where there might be multiple ways to sort of start the game that are all good. One thing I noticed is there are only enough governors to fill, neutral governors, to fill the board as it stands at the beginning of the game. Now, I think pretty obviously each person having one province under their control is probably close to the minimal, but if people took solutions that didn't give them an additional governor but let them march in and attack someone else and knock them more or less out of the game right off the bat, and you know, we've got a position where that could happen right here because they're so close to each other. You might end up in a situation where there aren't enough governors in the game. There doesn't seem to be any rule about that. I guess we could use a mob or something like that to reflect that, or maybe something else will happen. I don't know. All right. So I guess we look for the sequence of play. And we'll be starting with the first player here. Remove Quester and Castra, roll 2d6, and resolve on the crisis table. I need to get some different dice. These big guys are going to make a lot of noise, and I don't want to roll them. I have this weird combination of little rounded black dice and slightly, I don't know why my black dice are so much smaller. That's not the ones from the game, but I don't want to make that big noise. GMT seems to like bigger dice than I like, which is fine. 7, we have an event. We draw a card from the event deck. Bad auguries until the next event is drawn. Subtract 1 from the value of all Roman dice rolls in battle. However, dice showing 6s are still re-rolled as normal. Okay, that's not good. And then we look for the sequence play again. Okay, so now we get to take our actions. Well, our plan here, let's try to make enough room so that I can read this and do that. I want to recruit a governor. That's $1. 1 blue. I could place the governor. Okay, so in order to place the governor, I am going to, who am I? I'm red. I'm over here. Africa's close to me. Seems like that's where I want to go. So, I don't know why I want to be down there, but my other 2 points I'm going to spend on a place governor. That gets me 2 dice. Now, normally on a 1 or more, I get to go in. The bad auguries are only for battle. So this is not a battle. So I spend these. And I get 2 dice that succeed on a 1 or better. And I'm trying, did I screw up? It's got to be double the support level. Well, the support level's 1. Look, I succeed. There's no chance of failure. Which means I get to place one of my governors. Oops. This was not a military. This was a governor. And I didn't get these guys sorted. That. I get to put a governor here at 1. Not too exciting so far. And now I've got a couple of yellows where I could increase support value to the next highest state to move your governor to that space. This can't be played in Italy. Well, I'll go up because that's my more important space. And we're not done yet. We don't have this. Gain legacy for governed provinces, improvements being a pretender or emperor. Okay, so we take a look here. And I get 1 per province, that's 2. And nothing else is in play. So red goes up 2 legacy points. And buying trash cards. Okay. I can discard cards from my hand. Well, I don't have any in my hand, but now I'm able to spend. I have, I believe, 3 points coming to me. Let's make sure I have that right. Always takes a while to catch some of the rolls here. Then you may spend the political points generated to purchase and or trash cards. And purchasing, I don't want to trash cards yet. So basically I can buy a 2-point card pretty easily because I have 2 provinces, but I can't buy anything higher than that. So I'm going to look at the 3 2-point cards that are available, figure out which one I want to get, and the other point just kind of goes away. Otherwise I could trash a card, but that doesn't make sense yet. 2-point cards are kind of defensive. The Quaestor increases the difficulty of trying to steal a province from you. You got a province that's pretty easy to be stolen. The Castra improves my defensive position. I feel like I'm fairly safe there, maybe because I got the extra militia that you start the game with. And finally, the Tribute helps you deal with barbarians. So I'm going to buy the Quaestor. I don't have enough points to do anything else. And that moves the turn over here to the next player. Right, I have to replenish my hand. And I grabbed the cards I had in my deck and then grabbed 1 extra yellow out of my deck so I have enough points to up my value here. That may be unwise. Let me take my yummy Quaestor instead as my extra card. That'll allow me to put some political advantage, some defensive position in place, as well as building an improvement, which give me more victory points in terms of legacy and some other stuff. So I think I kind of like that idea a little better. Continue to go through in some detail through the beginning turn of the game at least. So let's get this pale blue player, see what his random event is. There's no upkeep because they don't have the pieces on the board. We get a 10, that activates the Franks. Well, what happens when we activate a Barbarian? I think one flips and they move. Flip a Frank to its active side. Done. Roll the dice again. Get a 3 and a 2. 3 is black. The black die less than or equal to the number of active counters. No, it's not. So we don't do anything with the barbarians. They're just beginning to start flowing. And now I have to make a decision of what I'm doing with my points. And I had already pretty much decided what I'm doing. I'm certainly going to buy myself a governor. My troops, I'm going to buy myself another legion. But do I need it there? Yeah, not necessarily. Not necessarily. What else could I do with my troops? Creating an army only costs me 1, so I could buy a general and create an army. Okay. So I'm going to spend my other 2 of these to put a bid in somewhere. I'm here. Keeping things connected seems like an okay idea, but I don't know if it's a necessary idea. I'm going to jump my way over to Galatia and try to claim this whole area. I feel like I've got a lot of strength on the board, and I think a jump is worthwhile. So I roll 2 dice. I get at least 2 1s, and that means I get to place my governor. Okay, and now I can build an army, and I will spend 1 to get myself another general, and I'll spend 1 to build a full-strength legion by creating an army. which I'll put this and I'll put it in my homeland along with a legion. I also got 2 points for my 2 provinces, and I also bought the Quaestor because the fall of my cards, I don't know, that one allows me to do a military action. You know, maybe I'm better off buying an army, because otherwise I waste one of my red points. Because there's no general or anything I can build with that army. Is there anything that's going to just cost me 1? I can move an army, which could be useful, but then I'd want another governor or something like that. So I'm not really in position for the governor, so I'm going to just build up my army. I'm not really thrilled with what the second turn is showing up from my picks of cards, because of course I'm using all my blue cards at the beginning. Now we check the randomness for this third player, green. He gets an event. Yeah, we would have sucked at battles anyway. Shapur the First. Place Shapur the First on the Sassanid homeland. He will come on the board with the next successful Sassanid invasion. In all battles where he's involved, the number of hits by the Roman player is reduced by 1. There he is. A threat. And it's time for me to figure out what my actions might be. So green's choice of cards is not very good in my view. I built myself a governor. I'm going to need that. I take 2 of these, and I up my stance here. But here's the problem. I have 2 of these. I could build an army, grabbing a new general, or I could move. What I can't do is defend Gallia from Hispania, as well as say go march into Pannonia. I don't think I can just march on Italy. I better look that up, because if I can, obviously things is better. I've essentially screwed up here. If I only had 1 of these and had a blue, I could take over something like Pannonia. But I didn't set myself up for that, and I'm kind of fucked. Taking Italy is hard. You'd have to get enough votes to encompass that. I could just march in, but it doesn't really do me anything. I'm going to need a lot of votes with all the neutrals. Oh, I've been forgetting to drop the neutrals. They should be down around 6, I think. So they're getting weaker. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah. But nowhere near weak enough that I can go grab Italy. So, I don't know what to do with these points. I could certainly add an army, a legion, which I think is the best move that I have at this point, and I'm just going to start grabbing them instead of doing anything by name. And now, unfortunately, I'm only going to make 1 legacy point, and I don't have points to buy anything terribly valuable. There are no 1-point cards left at the beginning of the game ever, no matter how many players there are. You take them out, and you probably don't really need them. However, that does mean these are the 4 cards I'm going to have, and I have to think what the 5th card would be. And this was not a good start for green. This is definitely a shitty start, because the only thing that marching into a territory gives you is the easier capability of replacing the governor. It becomes a little simpler. I thought you could just march in and take things, which is why I was thinking there were multiple ways to start the game. I don't really think there are. I mean, there's some variance to what you do, but I think you really do want the 2 blues to grab an area right at the beginning, and I did not do that, and that's going to hurt me. And I picked my hand for the next turn, which most of it's pre-programmed. I took an extra yellow, I guess, for what? To be able to increase Yeah, that's not going to help. Shit. This is really painful to do the first time. So a yellow is not going to help me. 2 blues, I can grab another territory. A red. A red doesn't help me, but 2 reds probably doesn't help. Well, a red can get me a general. Shit. I don't know what the fuck to burn here. Another red could get me moving. That could be of some value, but I feel like by fucking up by a card, I really hurt myself. You know, by my initial choice of cards, I really kind of hurt myself at the start of the game. Whether or not that's recoverable, I don't know. Stupid me, I turn off the camera, and I need to just roll some dice. 8, the Alamani. And if the black die is a 1, I gotta do things. The black die is not a 1. So now I gotta figure out his plays. Last time around I bought a Quester there, but I only took 2 yellow because I have the opportunity to raise that with yellow. I've got a bunch of reds in my hand, so I'll be able to either build a second army here and move it, or buy a general, build an army, and then move one of my 2 armies. Do I want to do that? I don't know. You know, but yeah, it's kind of the blundering around at the first. So everybody's kind of in a similar position at the beginning of the game, which is they've all got their 2 points. They all picked up a Quester, except for the one person who tried to do something a little offbeat, and they just ended up fucking up. Because that's just the nature of when I'm not thinking, you know, clearly along my patterns. And that's one of the problems. Something seems obviously better to me, and when I try to test out other things, I don't test them out as cleverly as I pursue my own thoughts of what I should be doing. All right, that give us a quick start to the game. Now I'll throw all these dice over here on the first player and be ready to go. And we'll start seeing what happens. I think that there's room for him to catch up. For one thing, even if you get knocked out of your province, you still have cards to play. You still have the capability to get yourself back into other provinces and stuff. So it's not like you're really knocked out. It's just, it hinders your advancement of points, and it hinders your board position. So I think I at least will get a chance to look at what's going on. All right, I think that's it for tonight, because it's late, and I'm not thinking all that well, I don't think. Which, you know, it's some excitement right off the bat. I rolled Frank's got activated, and then rolled a 2. There are 2 or less pieces here. A 1. They go into Britannia and then Gallia. Okay. So let's see how that works. I don't think it's going to do much because it's a neutral thing. If the number rolled is less than or equal to number of active counters equal to the number roll on the black die invade, that's going to be 2. Barbarians, until there are 3 barbarians of the tribe in that province. Well, that's going to put 2 in here. That makes Britannia harder for other players to kind of use. But they're not going to create battle. They can stay there. The only real effect they have is to downgrade the status, but that happens during a player's turn in the areas that they control, which I think can cause some little wonky situations where, like, someone, yeah, we're just going to jerk off about that, where a player, where the barbarians have no effect because the player keeps getting handed off or something like that. We'll see. And now, because you can only take something really in your own turn. Yeah, so you just wouldn't aim for a place that's got a barbarian problem, I guess. Anyway, I'm going to try to figure out what the hell to do with red. I don't know what their cards are, nor why I picked them. They've got 3 points of yellow, 3 points of red. and they've got a quester. I probably want to throw the quester down first, and you really do want to use all your cards if you can. The only question is whether you want to hold one that you didn't use, rather than throw it into the discard pile at the end of your turn. I fucked up with green back here. I did not buy a card for them. I'm gonna, since they're going for military, I'm gonna buy them the Castra card and just put it back here in their pile. They had 2 support points that they could buy a card with. I was counting wrong by number of provinces. Everybody's got at least 2 points. Nobody's got 4. So we're okay. It was the 3-point players who were problematic. They're throwing a point away. Let me go over what Red has done so far, while I can maybe remember. They played their quester. They played enough populous points to get themselves a basilica. There's a couple of reasons for that. That helps them get control in Italy. And remember, they can do that without going rebel or whatever. It also will get them, because it's an advantage, whatever they're called, an improvement. It gets them a 3rd point for the turn. So they produce some more points. They managed to play all their cards. They built an army and grabbed themselves another general to prepare themselves. They built a legion into their army. Now, I'm going to have all of my cards. However, my support is only at 3 still. So all I can get is, again, a 2-point card. I don't know what to take. Now that there are natives active, that doesn't look too dangerous, so I'm not going to go with the tribute. The Castra could be useful, but I've got a decent-sized army. I'm going to buy myself yet another quester. Remember, these things disappear at the beginning of your turn, so whatever defensive advantage I'm getting from it right now is going to go away very shortly. And I happen to have 5 cards left. Now, I could have destroyed a card, but as of right now, I just don't feel like that's quite the best option. But I'm going to probably want to do it pretty soon. I've got the 3 points. That gives me a little bit of an advantage there. These stay in the discard pile because I do not move them to the available until I have to draw from the available and don't have one. And I think that's all that I've got for them. Got the Pax Deorum. What that does is everybody, and this is on the next player, everybody gets to pull 1 extra card into their hand. A little bit of a way to shake up the determinism of what buying a deck looks like is this. Most other things, that part of the game is pretty deterministic. It only happens on a 12, but that's what we got right now. And that means everybody's going to get an extra point, or at least somewhere. And now I have to look at everybody's cards and think that out. Obviously, this game probably is more more suitable to actually playing opposed. What game isn't? Well, yeah, I mean, but I think once I get kind of used to playing it more, I'll be happier making these kind of decisions than I am right now. Right now, I'm facing a new challenge. That can be exciting, there's no question about it, but it's also kind of painful, for you guys at least, to watch it on video. And had the unfortunate effect of pulling his discard pile, which means next time he was going to have his full deck in the discard pile, which would give him some advantages of flexibility. Now, he's lost that because of this event. Yeah, get a little bit of, again, the perturbation from that. Now I got to figure out what the hell he's going to actually do. Pale Blue here got himself his quester out, built the limes, increased his state there. I'm calling it social state. It's not really. It's support, whatever. Built himself another legion. And he bought himself a tribute card. Now, the Limes means I'm a little bit safer from these things. Between that and the tribute, I feel like the fact that I'm right up against barbarians means that I've got some safety, and it also, again, gets me the extra point. So, you know, I could get the same off of province, but most of the players have played their blue cards already, so they didn't really have another opportunity to grab a province right away. Green's doing things a little differently. That means we get to see a little different behavior from them. I spent my 2 military points. One, to move into Pannonia, and then now that I'm here, no one's in the capital province, I can go there. I had to leave my militia behind. I had to take both my legions with me. It's just the way things are. Second point could be used to move back out of there. However, I'm about equally exposed in both, so I'm going to stand as I am in there and spend the other point getting myself another general, because I'm going to need one very shortly. I don't have control yet, so I play 2 of these to give myself 2 dice here, which will automatically succeed, and I get the governorship here. And I get it at 1. And then I play 2 of these to up my value. And again, slightly different order than we're normally seeing. And now I have 2 provinces, which is still keeping me well below what everybody else is making in victory points. This is the problem. And I get to buy cards. I'm not quite sure what I want to buy. I have 4 points that I could buy 2 2-point cards with. That sounds appealing. It can't be done. So here's the problem. I could buy the first 2-point card. It cost me 2. The second one would cost me 1 more. So I'm again 1 short from getting where I want to go. Actually, I was in the right place last time and I bought the card, but this time I am sitting at 4, which is not a good number, and that means that a 2-point card costs me 2 points. The second card that I buy is going to cost another point for the extra card. A 3-point card would cost me 6 points. I don't have that. So I've got to choose what the hell I want to take. I don't know what that is. For yellow, I built myself another army. Got myself a general. Gotta be careful. Shit. I think I bought incorrectly. I bought myself a tribune. Is that safe? It's going to cost me 2 points to get another leader. Yeah, this is the only way that I can expand somewhere next turn, and I had to play all my blue cards next turn no matter what, because these were the 4 cards I had remaining. So buying another blue card is important. I'm going to have to buy myself another governor, though, and that's where the world is not quite fitting together well. I had thought I would be able to expand into 2 areas. No way in hell I'm not going to be able to buy 2 more governors. But this is the only way I'm going to be able to move forward and get my 2-point governor there. And I'll have an extra point, so I might be able to go after a place that someone else holds with a quest or even. So what did we do here? We bought the military, we bought Limes. That got us in a tie for the points with everyone, and we were able to produce a card. And that's the end of the second time through. We can do it again, but I gotta break for a bit. Constantly struggling with the the card spending mechanism on this, and I'm sure it'll become more useful or more sensible to me. But I had 3 yellow and 3 blue in hand. I used the yellow to buy myself some Limes. I used 2 of the blue to buy myself a governor. Great. That left me with an extra blue left. Now I've got 5 cards left. I'm going to ditch that blue for various reasons, but I haven't done everything I'm supposed to do. I didn't gain my legacy, which is 1, 2, 3, 4 now. Now there's a victory point. I think when you hit 80 legacy, the game ends. But if it doesn't end for some other reason, so there is a fixed value to what can happen. But legacy can be dropped. And now I can buy my cards, and I still only have the 3 points that I had here. By using the popularity to increase this, I've kind of weakened my position a little bit, but that's the cards I had. Those blues weren't enough to get me the governor and a position anywhere. So at the end of the red player's turn, I decided I'm going to trash one of these because I got a couple of questers in the game. So they kind of don't. Basically, I go through my deck twice. I have 10 cards, so that's kind of sweet. But I don't know. I don't know if trashing a card makes sense yet, or if I wanted to buy more 2-point cards. That's the kind of thing I'm just not sure of how that's going to play out, and I can't think hard enough to make certain. Before I roll anything, does the quester go away yet? Yeah. His quester goes away. And we've got Goths. Goths came up last time. One becomes active, and we roll some dice and see what happens. They're not going anywhere, so now I got to figure out what I'm going to play. Stupid with this guy. He should have. Let me make a roll. See if he gets lucky. On a 6, he could have actually gotten something. So he'll go for, I don't know, Thracia or whatever. He got a 6, so that's a chance that he would have gotten it. We'll just reverse things. And a 4, that's 2 points. This is a 2-point area, so he's able to take it. I keep forgetting that there's some luck involved in this. So his governor is here, and he actually got 1 more point of prestige because of that. And that actually means I had more points for cards. So I actually had 4 points for cards. So instead of destroying that card, I'm going to think about the 3-point cards here. Of reducing my deck size, I've increased it. I have that 1 back, and I bought a mob. I'm allowed to buy 3 cards because I have 3 provinces now. The same kind of trick going on where he had an extra blue piece, so he went to try to see if he could get this. It actually has just about almost as much chance of taking something from someone else. That might have been appealing. He built an army with a couple of his points. He is going to get rid of a card. Yeah, I know, blue is valuable, but everything's valuable. And I do have an extra blue card, and now I have to decide on what my next hand is. For green's turn, we have a problem. Sassanid's created one. I rolled a 2 and a 4. 2 is less than the 2 counters here. It's not absolutely clear whether the leader counts. However, under crisis check, what it says is if it's less than or equal to the number of active counters in the tribe's homeland. Well, I don't know if active counter is actually defined. There are some definitions, so maybe it's there. Nope. Okay. Now, what's weird is this. Place the counter in the Sassanid homeland. Sounds like an active counter to me. He will come onto the board with the next successful Sassanid invasion. It's not clear that he improves the chance of invasion, but I'm going to say he does. I think that's what's meant. The 4 says he goes into Syria with this unit, and he's going to start causing problems for yellow, which means yellow is going to have to play a little differently. But Limes is in play. Limes is presumably covered somewhere. Invading barbarians placed in a province containing limes and all subsequent provinces in the invasion path are on their inactive side. They don't cause support checks. They will become active again. And this is not clear. Yeah, right. Shit me. So I don't know if he's not inactive. Is he still active? I don't know. Let me see if there's any facts or examples in the playthrough. because that's a pretty big difference whether or not, you know, he's causing problems. Okay, green is trying to play this kind of on the down low. What did they do? They played a Castra here. They built up a new army here, put a Quester there. They built this support up. That gives them more card purchasing. So they were able to spend 5 points on cards, a 2 and then a 2+1, to get that into their hand instead of destroying a card or whatever. Yeah, I don't know. They could have bought a card and destroyed a card, which might make more sense. And they're lagging way behind in points, though. That's the problem with their situation. But I believe I'm building up a more viable base, maybe. And then I took my draw of cards, and that puts me to yellow. Yellow is going to be facing a problem here. They have no Quester or Castra. Yeah, let's check their thing. But what they have to worry about is if they don't deal with these are going to flip back over and become a penalty to them. But they've got a turn to prepare because of the Limes. Maybe. We'll see. 10. It's Franks. We're getting a lot of Franks showing up. And they're going to move into Pannonia. Now that creates something of interest. They don't attack or anything, but they're going to cause him problems. What does the Castra do? That's helpful if a player comes in and hits you. But the Barbarians don't do anything terrible on their own. So it's not particularly valuable for you to put a Castra in there for Barbarians. That's why it's over here. Well, this is also at risk, conceivably. At least that's my take on it. And now I worry about playing Yellow's turn. And he's got to worry about these guys being there. What Yellow's done so far, ignored the problem. They didn't have any military cards planned. They spent points on getting a general. They used a tribute card. They didn't need that. A tribune card. They didn't need that. These are already inactive, so no effect there. But they spent 3 points to roll against him. No, they only need 2s or better, so they were pretty likely to get it. They picked it up. That's going to give them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 victory points. And they took away from the other leading player from his positioning. And they played a Quester. So they took that there, giving themselves a fair-sized pile of stuff. Yeah, increased the support with the Quester card. Now they've got to decide what they're going to buy. Right now they've got 2, 3, 4, 5 points, and they can buy 3-point cards. Problem, of course, is with 5 points they could destroy a card and buy a 2-point card, or they could buy a 3-point card if there's one they really want. They do know what the opponent has bought. So red, who they pissed off, has bought a mob. That's problematic. It'll probably get swacked into us. Towards the events that it gets us, we have picked up Federati to get more troops from the Barbarians that are with me, and a tribute. If I read Federati right? Select an army commander, remove a non-leader barbarian not in a player's army from any. Yeah, it can be active, so that's cool. That's going to give me a lot of Senate points, which I don't think I really want, but that's okay. That's just where I'm sitting right now in terms of what I got. And then we swing back around to the front. I'm finding it hard to focus enough to play more than a little bit at a time on this. Largely because of the video. If I was just fucking around on my own, I would be happier probably, as I usually am. It's been kind of a fun week where I've been doing more outdoors type stuff, long walks, cutting wood, stuff like that, I haven't really been able to find as much time or energy to come up here and play. And then I ended up getting myself hooked on a video game because I was so tired every night after what I was doing that I just didn't want to do this, but I still had time to use, and that kind of prevented me from even squeezing an hour out at any point if I hadn't started the video game, I might have gotten some energy to do it. Anyway, let's get to the red player. I threw my cards all got stacked, but we had an Alemanni as an event with no effect. For card play, this is kind of the big thing. Improvement here, questers in both, and I deployed an army and a militia. Ended up spending to trash a card because I've got the 2 province problem. Even though I've got 4 points, I pretty much could buy a 2-point card or trash a card. I trashed a yellow card because I've got some extra yellows in this hand, and then chose my next hand. I think I'm going to be going into somebody else's territory next time, because this doesn't look like an appealing thing to do without wiping out the barbarians first, because otherwise you just lose your support right away. I don't feel like I gained the best things I could have gained off of this. You know, I only got my 3 legacy. I didn't gain a province or anything like that. I could have used my military to position myself differently. But honestly, this is, you know, this way I used up all my points, and to me that's kind of an important thing. I have to say, playing this in a segmented fashion the way I am is definitely making it more difficult. This is sort of a Euro-ish type game. You're flipping cards down, and you have to plan your next turn in advance. Now, planning for me is always a problem. I'm not thrilled with things where I have to plan with something, with a resource that's not clear. So, you know, like when I write orders for CWB, I know what I'm trying to do, right? I've got that written down now, and I come back and it makes sense. Here, I've got a set of colors. I don't know why I picked them. I had an idea at one point, but you know, when I'm doing stuff like that, it doesn't really help me to do that planning ahead of time, because when I come back, I don't remember it. And honestly, although it's obviously really horrible when I'm away for a week or whatever I was between card plays, it's still pretty bad even if I'm just sitting at the table with people, because I'm not the kind of person who sits there and just focuses on the game the entire time. Yeah, I go out for a smoke if other people are taking their turns. I chatter with people. You know, everything that's horrible about gaming in terms of trying to speed up the game or whatever. I mean, not entirely, but, and it depends on the group as well. But I do find myself much happier in a situation where we're not just trying to push through as hard and fast as possible, where there's no time for any, you know, breaks or interaction or anything. And you come back, you pick up your cards, and you're like, what the fuck? What was I thinking? And one of the problems is the time when you really have to make that decision is the other people's time. That's during your turn. You know, when you're sitting there looking at it and saying, which ones am I going to take? So unless you plot your turn out completely in advance before you take it, and yeah, that does not happen with me. Unless you do that, you're eating up other people's time. So I tend not to think too hard when I'm trying to select my cards. Of course, I do even worse when I'm doing it solo. So you're not going to see good play. But you wouldn't see good play from me in this kind of game unless I find a pattern and just live with that, you know? All right, the blue player, we see Nomads sneak into Egypt. And then for his card play, he put himself into Asia. Got a quester there. Upgraded some of this. And built a basilica. That got him a decent amount, like 5 points total. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he boosted his legacy quite high. Looks like he's leading. Trashed a card and bought himself a Castra, and then picked his cards for the next turn. And he should be good. I gotta be careful, especially with people, because I've been away so long, but especially with people who have split areas, because I might not notice if they have barbarians or something like that kicking around in them. Green, our poor laggard here. Let's see what I did. I had some military draws and ended up grabbing an extra legion here. I feel fairly strong compared to some other players, but not strong enough to really attack. So like, I have 2 legions in this army. I could have marched on Thrace, which is a little weaker with a legion and a militia, but not enough that I feel like I had a good chance of definitely winning or anything. So I built up my army a little bit more. I also planned my next turn to have enough military to launch an attack and build a replacement army for whichever area I empty. Because if I march out of here, there's a force here that's as big as mine that could easily just put itself into a position where then politically, crap. And I screwed up royally. There's a bunch of Franks there. Fuck. I gotta try to figure out how to undo everything. Didn't see them, they're gray. They're kind of up near the other gray counters, you know? Just wasn't where my focus was. Okay, I gotta try to undo my turn. Crap. So I used these 2 points to get myself my political governor that I wanted to buy. With the military, I'm going to spend 1 of my military and I'm going to launch an attack. And let's see what happens. I think I have to come out to do it, I'm not sure. We haven't done combat yet. Okay, each unit in battle. Well, that doesn't help. Yeah, I don't have to come out, I don't think. It just has to be in the same region, so I can stay in the capital and do the battle. Okay, each unit rolls 1 die, between 1 and 3 dice. So the legions are going to have probably 1 die each, yeah. And so is the barbarians. Okay, so let's get 2 legionary dice and 3 barbarian dice. And 1 legion hits, 2 barbarians hit. Okay. So, and I already gave myself these 2 as well that I gotta undo. Each hit flips a full-sized. Players allocate the hits in any manner they like, but they must take... Okay, so I think I can take a hit on a legion. Alright, so I did 1 hit, and that hits a barbarian. What happens to a barbarian? Return to their homeland inactive side up. There we go. Barbarians hit me twice, which means I have taken 2 hits, and now I have damaged legions, and that doesn't look good. I have 1 more military point, so I can restore 1 of my legions. Because I don't want to fight with that. I have a yellow point that I was planning on burning anyway, because I don't have a yellow card here. And now I have a problem. Gain legacy. For governed provinces. Let me check. I don't know. Support check phase. -1 support for each province containing active barbarians or an enemy army. That's the first thing. I knew that was coming. I didn't know where. And then on gain legacy, I think I get legacy even though there's crap there. As long as I can keep governing it, I will keep getting it. Yeah. So I do get my 2 legacy. Whoop, 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 whoop. And now I have to pick my purchasing of cards. And I've got a definite military problem here. I wasn't realizing how bad this was. I didn't realize I had a problem, actually. So, this is green. Yeah. Okay. This turn's gone from one where, hey, they had one kind of defined problem they were going to have to deal with here, to I got nomads all over me too. So he's in a state of real trouble. He doesn't have enough military to cover everything. Luckily for him, he has some military options available, but not enough to take care of all the problems. Now these guys are inactive, so they're not terribly a problem. Now I could attack this, march to Africa, attack that. That leaves me a long walk home. I got enough points to do both of those. Or I could deploy a unit in either Syria or Africa, Africa being the better place, and attack with both armies. That would give me a weaker army. Here, but I think that's probably the more appealing choice, and then I can increase my popularity in Syria, I guess. Although yellow's size has caused them some problems, and yeah, this is correct, in terms of things coming in. I was able to kill Egyptius' forces. These now become active and are somewhat problematic, and I bought myself a flanking maneuver for that. I'm going to use Federati next turn to absorb forces from either here or here. I haven't decided which. Depends on how many points I actually have, but I bought myself the big flanking maneuvers card, which I put in my hand, and I trashed a card just because the only other option was to buy a 2-point card as my second card, and I'm kind of in favor of getting bigger cards and improving my deck. So that gets us through, and I think far enough through that since people have been wondering, what the hell happened, dude? Where are you with this game? Yeah, it's taken me, a week to get through something that's not that big. I could have done it in a couple hours, probably. Well, I don't know. Each turn is taking me a while on video. There's no question of that. But once I get used to it, I think I could get down to a much, much faster source of set of play. One thing to note, yellow's just running away with those legacy points with all these provinces, and with improvements. And this shouldn't have been there. I had Leams there. But it does go active now. So, and I could have attacked it. I was fine with what I did. It just, it wasn't illegal. It was just not effective. No, not necessarily the best move, but that's okay. I'm in good shape with yellow. They're really running away with the points as far as I can see. Maybe I forgot to add points for somebody, but red is only at 2 provinces. Yeah, I mean, it looks like yellow is really kicking butt. So people are going to have to start focusing on yellow, and they've already drawn some of their own problems because they're kind of doing quite well at this point. And yeah, because we'll cut this a little early. I probably could have gotten another turn in the hour of videotape. It takes me a while to cope with the game mechanism. I am enjoying. I know it may not sound that way because of the disjointed features and everything. It feels like, kind of what I think this kind of AT Euro combo should feel like. This is not, this is not up to a war game level. But then again, neither is Britannia or some other games that a lot of people kind of classify in that. It just doesn't have that level of detail. But, it probably wouldn't appeal to your average Euro player. It probably is more aiming at that kind of AT wargamer type who is like, yeah, maybe I don't want to play with hexes and counters all the time. I want to play with things that are a little more interesting. There was a lot of stuff of this nature earlier, and this is a different take, a different kind of design, and I like where it's going. All right, let's send this up.